Hey, and welcome to another Jan's Views live with our dunks. Where is he? No, he's not here yet. Typical man, eh? How are you all? I hope you're all well. I'm well, kind of. I mean, this weather is just so upsetting. No, it doesn't upset me. It's just bloody annoying. Anyway, how are you? I hope you're all well. Let's see who we've got. Let's see who we've got in the house this evening. We've got Alison, who got in here first. Big up. Big up to Alison. How you doing, sweetie? I hope you're well. We've also got Master Frown in the house. Yes, we've got Fizzy Pop. Now, we have an issue with Fizzy Pop. Apparently, Fizzy Pop likes to pop off to sleep. Let's see if they're here later on in the live chat. We'll have to see. Wake up, Fizzy Pop. That's all I can say. We've also got Amanda in the house. Hey, Amanda, nice to see you. I always like to see my mods. I have to say, I've got the best mods. Absolutely, you're all wonderful and do a fantastic job. I've also got the best chat. And I also have, well, questionable. I also have the best person who comes on panel with me every Sunday. Who is it? Is he in? Let's see if he's in. There he is. Hey, Dunks. How are you, sweetie? I hope you're well.
Yes, I am. I'm fine. I missed your intro, so I don't know how you are, Jan, but I am fine and yeah, ready and raring to go.
Always good to hear. Dunks, I watched that video of yours earlier. Oh my God, it was so good. Um, I love the way you put these pieces together. I like to do jigsaw puzzles. I've always got one on the go. I quite often share them on my community post if anyone's interested. But I do love puzzles. And Dunks, you have got to be champion puzzle put together. I mean, you have the most amazing mind. I know, honestly. I said to one of my kids the other day, I think I may as well learn to speak a different language because I'm not coping very well with English at the moment. It's like out the corners. So let's see who else we've got in here tonight. So we've also got Claire. Okay, if I wanted a trampoline, what? Someone says that asking if you wanted a trampoline. I said no, thank you. I've got one. Oh, Claire, do you like to go bouncy bouncy in the garden? That is interesting. Dunks, would you like a trampoline?
No, I wouldn't. Um, I don't think that's my kind of thing. Don't mind watching others have catastrophic accidents while trampolining, but no, not for me. No.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think my trampolining days are over. It's hard, isn't it, getting older, Dunks, because sometimes I forget, I forget and I'm an old bint and, I try things and it's always catastrophic and I'm like, Jan, just stop it. Anyway, so what we need to do, I've seen a few newbies in the chat. One of them here is called Lost Pilgrims History. Yeah, lovely to see you. It's nice to see new people in as well as the old people. Old people, you're not old. I bet you none of you are as old as me. But anyway, let's get on. And I want to say thank you so much for everybody who has clicked on this video. You're all very, very welcome. And stay to the end of the live stream because I've got a fun activity for us all. The more I do these live streams, the more you realise who I am. Sorry, I am this person. Sorry. Anyway, so let's get on with it. We've got a lot to get through today. Wednesday. So we're going to start with the questions. So here we go. Question number 1 is, why would Debbie Duncan choose Rachel Hargreaves for the interview, for the TV interview that so many of us have questioned, because there is a huge amount of red flags flapping away on this. When we're viewing this interview, guys, you must all know which interview I'm talking about. I think I did a video on it in the week. So why would Debbie choose Rachel for that interview? I've no idea. Dunks, over to you.
Yeah, I saw that video you did, and you can never watch that interview with Rach and Debbie too many times because it's, to us visually, I think, the most explicit example of Debbie feeling very, very uncomfortable with the person next to her, which, you don't see when she's with anyone else, it seems. She can tolerate Warren or anyone else. But yeah, it looked like she had been forced to sit next to the person she least liked. If someone had said, "I'm sorry, for the next 20 minutes you have to sit next to your avowed enemy," that was the look on Debbie's face, and she didn't pull it off very well. She couldn't fake. To me, she could not fake being consoled by Rach. In fact, it looked like that was the last thing she wanted. But I don't know, Jan, whether she chose Rach, or to me, Rach has got this habit, it seems, of just turning up uninvited. I had the same feeling when Warren and Rach were looking around, that hut. I kept saying, Warren, no, no, you need to do this solo. Really solo, not even Zach, just solo. You don't need Rach distracting you with whatever. So Rach just seems to have this habit of turning up where she really shouldn't be. And yeah, I didn't understand why Debbie couldn't have done that alone. I've got a feeling Rach might have said, can I join you? Or is it all right if I join you? And the son probably said, yeah, two of you talking about this subject is good. But it didn't work. As far as the sincerity of Debbie, expressing her anxiety and all that, it didn't work. To me, it looked like Debbie was more concerned with this person next to her who was talking about, the mystery men. It just looked like Debbie was, no, I don't want to be here. But I don't know. I mean, why would Debbie have chosen Rach? Because I mean, let's say it. Let's say it. Maybe Rach was the only supportive, really supportive person, even though it might have been fake support and just words. Maybe Debbie felt there was no one else that could sit with her. I don't know. So it was a strange one.
Definitely was. We've got some good comments made in here. One of them is that somebody was on the Bounty Castle last week. Jay Smith. Um, Was it enjoyable? Did you enjoy it? That's the main thing. Okay, so Amanda says, oh, hang on one sec, jump onto Amanda's, I've lost it, sorry. Amanda says, I'm now on the fence with that. I do wonder if she is just hostile as Brad was back. Do you mean because she was having Brad's back? Debbie has not looked like this ever since. That is very, very true. We haven't seen her like that, have we? Other than that interview. I wonder what she thinks when she looks back on it. I think I am going along with you people and also with Dunks in saying that she probably wasn't chosen. And maybe it was Rachel that insisted, if you like. I also had somebody make a point under the video that Rachel appeared to just have her hand behind her back, a bit like it was like a ventriloquist dummy. And I thought, my God, that's what it is. So, yeah, we really don't know why that pairing was made. I have no idea. So Emma Smith, hi Emma. She says, I think she was there to make sure Debbie didn't say too much about Brad. I'm with you there. I don't think Debbie had a choice. Maybe Debbie's silence got Jay's body back. As in my opinion, he had already been unalived at this point. Yes, that's a really good comment, and I'm nodding madly at that one. I think that's how I'm thinking along those lines. Debbie already knew, and I think when she did break down, I think it was genuine that, she knew that she'd lost her son, but the reasons behind it were something that she has hidden. I think the real reasons behind her grief are not those of a mother who lost her son, in Tenerife. That's just my opinion. So let's go up to number 2. Why was Debbie Duncan pulling away from Rachel Hargreaves in the interview? So we've kind of covered that. It wasn't. I mean, we're used to being shown people, in all areas of their life, right? Because we've all got phones. We can see everything on our phones at the click of a button. It's all there for us to see, and I think one of the problems that Debbie has had throughout this, for people like myself, Duncan Wax, everybody that has covered this story extensively, is that we have seen exactly how she has reacted in certain circumstances. And there's just too many red flags for us not to look deeper into it. So, Dunks, what do you think? Why was she pulling away?
I think she was pulling away because she felt, again, very uncomfortable and ill at ease with the person next to her that was saying what she was saying. And I do want to go back to the point that was raised just now. And that was, what was going on in Debbie's mind while Rach is saying all this. It could well be thoughts of, yeah, your son is alive and well. You get out of this fine. My son is, missing, quite possibly dead, and you're suddenly my best friend. And that whole, it works the other way. If someone reaches out to you and, puts their hand behind your back, you usually move towards them and show that, you are willing to be comforted. But the opposite happened. And then, if you remember, Debbie started putting her head down and getting upset as Rachel was talking. It was almost as if the more Rach was talking, the more Debbie was getting upset. It was the opposite of anything comforting. And I think the commenters are pretty much on board with this. That Debbie's, and what you said, Jan, is also true. I think Debbie's frustration here is that, yes, she's very, very upset, and she may well know that, Jay's life was over then. But I think that's only part of the frustration. The frustration is she can't come out and express her grief in that way because her grief is hidden by certain things here. It's like you can grieve to a certain extent, but you can't really explain what your grief is all about. Because I mean, I can't get further than the fact that Debbie will not ask Brandon or Brad or Lucy any key questions to explain what happened to Jay. And that barrier, for whatever reason, that barrier is there. For whatever reason, Debbie just can't get to the bottom of what was going on there. If she has spoken to them in private and she knows, it doesn't change anything. She then knows the reasons why Jay died, and she knows it's not for everything that the narrative has been put out there and we heard in the inquest. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I think Debbie's reaction, whether it be moving away from Rach or doing this whole Jay's Law thing, I think a lot of it's rooted in the fact that she just can't come out and say what happened to her son. And I mean, to be honest, that must be a terrible thing too. We can, judge how poorly the family dynamics were and all that. But at the end of the day, if Debbie's in that position, It is. It must be a horrible, horrible feeling. You have to grieve. You do grieve, but you can never really come out and say what the heart of the problem is here. I would hate to be in that position.
Yeah, me too. And it does make me think that maybe that's behind her, because to me, the later interview she's doing, with all this Jay's Law BS, she's coming out almost feisty. And she's like, yeah, well, they did this to me and they did that to me and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, so maybe is that misdirected anger that she's coming out with, and in actual fact there's a part of her that's actually angry at herself for having been put in that situation. I don't know, I'm just surmising. So I yeah, very, very interesting. I'm looking at the chat. Dunks, can you see the chat from where you are? From where you are, over there, wherever
Yep.
you are. So apparently we've got a fake Nick in. Hey, fake Nick, how you doing? We've also got Jay Smith, who's still bouncing around on the on the tambourine. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from that. I'm not taking too long on these because, yeah, we've got other things that we need to look at. So, number 3 was what or who was the reason for Jay's Law petition performing so poorly? So, yeah, I know that Dunks, you've covered that extensively on your channel. And I wanted to hear from, our chatters. What do you or who do you think was the reason for Jay's Law petition performing so poorly? One thing I want to say is that it's amazing to me how apart from at the very beginning when old Sarah Smith was out there, yes, we've got to stop everybody talking. After that, she never really seemed to progress from there. So maybe it had something to do with that I was hashtagging her in Twitter. I was, every time I put a video out, I would sort of at her, and also like if I spoke on you, Dunks, I would at her. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's like, oh, bloody hell, that woman knows what she's talking about. I better shut up. But it is very interesting to me that she seemed to stop very early days. So my answer to my own question is, I personally think that the person responsible for the Jay's Law petition performing so badly is actually Debbie Duncan. She was not able to garner any sympathy from people, and even, I mean, this picture, yeah, she looks heartbroken, okay, but as soon as she opened her mouth, as soon as she, it's about body language, it's about an aura, it's about authenticity, it's about being genuine. And I think people realised that she wasn't genuine in those interviews. That's my take on it. So I'm putting her down as the reason for the failure. The failure. What about you, Dunks?
Yeah, I could go on for hours about this. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. Before I get into the reasons, what I'm fascinated by are the people who felt so sure that this was a good idea and that it would actually become a law. We had accident group cheerleaders and the likes of the Slugster and Chris Pennington, blowing their trumpets saying the government is behind this, Parliament is behind this, you're all going to end up. And why they thought that, apart from being totally ignorant about how politics works, I don't know. I don't know why they thought that the nation as a whole would get behind this. You know what I mean?
Dunks, I just want to jump in and wish Lorna A quick recovery. I can't find your original comment there, but apparently you've been in hospital. I hope you get better very, very soon, Lorna. And yeah, I can see everybody else in the chat wishing you well. So I just wanted to jump in there. Sorry, Dunks. Off you go, love.
No, no,
No,
that's fine. Best wishes to Lorna, of course. Yeah. No, so my fascination is why so many, well, so many, the accident group jumped on this bandwagon and were trumpeting its success before it even got moving. I think it's a prime example of how they have totally misjudged the mood of the country and the deep set feelings for this kind of thing. Any movement these days in the UK that is going to hamper free speech, especially online speech, is doomed to failure. Honestly, if it were all about stopping people saying nasty things about Jack the Ripper, it would still go down in flames because people have had enough of it. But I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here, Jan. I think more than Debbie Duncan, it is Jay. I think it's Jay's past that is the main reason for this. And with these petitions, usually you see an incredibly strong local support. And the problem, I think, is in Debbie's area, an extended area. If you look at the map where people have signed up for this, you would expect, numbers galore in Burnley, in Blackburn, in all of that area. But in the home constituency, Hinburn, even there, I think 1 to 2% of the voters have signed this petition. In other words, 98% of Debbie's neighbours, if you like, have said, no, we're not signing it. And I think it's because of that attack on Tom Hilton and the toxicology report. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it has to be said, Jay himself, with his name next to this is why it's so awful, is that, Jay's dead. Jay's name has now been put next to this petition, which is a horrendous disaster. Um, why Debbie or Sarah Smith thought this was such a good idea, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say I told you so, but from the very beginning, there were some of us saying this is a really bad idea. But there's 1 month to go. They need 88,000 more signatures. Not going to happen. But I think it will be fascinating, Jan, to see how the cleanup crew move in. Don't tell me Luggy and Chris are going to be the cleanup crew again to sort things out. God knows what they're going to do with this, but it'll be fascinating to see how they deal with this failure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the accident group that we know are just going to. They'll probably just ignore the fact that it's failed so badly and still try to point the finger of, of blame to us, in as much as, we're the ones, we're the trolls, we're the ones that are saying all the wrong things and, making things up. No, we're not actually. We're watching things very, very closely and speaking on them. So let's see what some of you have said here. So we've got Alison, who says it's a distraction to cause that divide. So Debbie is never approached by the foul play group. I don't know. I think if she was approached by the foul play group, she just wouldn't answer. I mean, I just cannot imagine her wanting to speak to any of us, to be honest. I don't know whether that had anything to do with the petition performing so poorly. I don't know. I'm sure other people, do their homework, and perhaps they did see, Jay's mum in tears on the TV, and some of them probably did feel sorry for her. But then people, in this day and age, people don't take things on face value. And I believe that people would have searched out what happened in this case and then come to their own conclusion and thought, what? Oh, he was one of those type of boys. He was into all the drugs. And the thing with Thomas Hilton would have completely stopped anybody from wanting to sign sign this petition. And also, people are much more savvy. People are much more social media savvy these days, and they would have thought they haven't got a bloody clue. They haven't got a chance in hell of getting this petition passed. So yeah, I think also having it sounds awful because it sounds as if I'm just digging at Debbie all the time. But the reality is, stop laughing. The reality is that I believe myself as a mother. I think that she's just so fake. It just came across as so fake and so problematic that she didn't get. What groups of people would she be aiming for? That's a good question, Jan. Dunks, what demographic would she and Sarah have been targeting with their TV appearances?
I'm laughing because I think the demographic is you. I think it's the mothers, the grandmothers, the ladies that have had, family members go on holiday to Tenerife and maybe got in a bit of trouble. I think that was her target demographic. And lo and behold, she's now surprised when that target demographic ain't quite as stupid as she thought they were, because as you were saying, a lot of people can read between the lines on this kind of thing. And these days, when you get a softball interview, breakfast TV, and all of the media, all of the interviewers, everyone is 100% on the side of the person that is, being questioned, the audience knows something's up. In the old days, yeah, you'd say, "Oh, that poor woman." But these days, people are more cynical, they're more questioning, and they look at that kind of thing. They think, "So what's the deal here? You're all on the same side. Where's the person out there saying, 'Wait a minute, this doesn't make sense'?" And this is kind of ironic, Jan, because had I don't know, you, me, or Wax been there as the alternative voice, just to say, we understand the grieving, we understand the aim of the petition, but here's our problem with it. I think you'd have got a lot more people engaged, and they might have come out and said, "Well, no, that stupid, cynical old git or old bint that's opposing Debbie, I'm going to sign the petition." It might have worked in her favor, but in a funny kind of way, rejecting us and giving this grandstand performance with everyone that's patting her on the back and saying, "You poor thing." I don't think people go for that these days. Their first thought is, "So what's the catch? What's going on here?" That's why I think it didn't work. And I would be interested to see if she makes one more. I don't think she will, but if she makes one more TV appearance, trying to drum up a final, burst of signatures for this, I just don't see it working. So yeah, it's a strange thing, but they went for the home run, they went for the grand slam, and everyone was like, "No, no, no, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right at all." I think that's what I think.
Yeah, and I have to say, Dunks, you hit the nail on the head. That's why I laughed, because I thought that's right. They were aiming at people like myself, old grandmas who, would be terrified to think of their grandchild off on holiday, having a good time, and then ending up the way Jay ended up. And I think that probably was the demographic. Well done, Dunks. But they forgot that people, as I've just said, people aren't stupid, and the fact that she missed out a huge part of the story, which was what Jay was up to, or allegedly what Jay was up to, she missed that big chunk out. And also the big chunk of, what happened with Tom Hilton. Although she did touch on it, she quite literally just touched on it, doop, like that. That's all that happened. She didn't. She tried to justify what he had done by saying, "Oh well, he was just on the periphery. He wasn't. He wasn't involved, guys." No, you can't say that. People aren't stupid. So I believe, yeah, and that's why I've sort of said, "Oh, it's all her. That it's her fault." but it's a culmination of things and misjudging their targeted audience as well. And do you know what? It's amazing that somebody like Sarah Smith, who is younger than both of us, probably younger than Debbie, has a young family, presumably. Why did she not twig? I mean, did she not realise, oh my God, this, some people are going to start asking questions about this, that, and the other. And the weird thing is, I used to do like a series where I called it Twitter Talks, where I would, go over the things that Twitter said. And I was surprised actually that there wasn't more opposition to Sarah Smith on there. Now, on Twitter, you are able to block people. So, I don't know, I may have been blocked. But I just thought that considering Sarah was trying to make it into such a massive case where, social media content creators were bullying, a family, to actually think that in this age of social media that anything was going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. She's living in the, I don't know what country, language. I don't know what year she's living in. She's not living in the 70s. Do you know what I mean? And people who do go on Twitter, people who do go on YouTube and all the other platforms, they're quite media savvy. So to put this woman, I mean, I remember that, was it you, Dunks? Did you once say that you actually felt sorry, that you felt that Debbie was perhaps being used by Sarah in her campaign to become, somebody that everybody knows? Yeah, I just found it really weird. Listen, I'm a grandma, okay? But I'm a savvy grandma. But there are lots of people that aren't. So yeah, I want to sort of ask that question to you again, Dunks, which is, it's gone, it's completely gone out of my head. But yeah, your point on perhaps Sarah using Debbie for this. So what are your? Do you want to
Yeah, yeah.
embellish on that?
Yeah, what you said about Sarah Smith, I think I don't know much about Sarah Smith. I believe she might be a first term, second term MP. She looks very young to me, young family. She must be very, very busy. So I think she probably knows very, very little about the background to this case. I would imagine that what she does know is gleaned from the media reports that she looks through. Um, I don't think if you sat down with Sarah Smith, she could tell you anything much about like the timeline or anything like that. So, I mean, it's not Sarah Smith that's the only one that does this. I think MPs generally, if there's a bandwagon and they can join it and drum up some support, it looks good. And probably, yeah, probably Sarah Smith this thought this is going somewhere. But I mean, so many of these MPs are just, and I'm not talking about left or right, I think so many of them in general are so out of touch with ordinary folk that they make these decisions and it takes them a long time to realize that this isn't what the mood of the country is. It just isn't. So I would say for Sarah Smith, a certain amount of naivety, a lot of inexperience. Um, and she thought this was a slam dunk. I mean, who would possibly, oppose hand-wringing grieving mother when those nasty platforms are allowing anyone to say anything? Well, it seems to me, Jen, it turns out most of the country are fed up of people trying to tell them what they can say and can't say online. That's the bottom line. And I'll say this again, I think putting Jay's name next to this petition was an awful mistake. And just to back you up on one other thing, I think people do notice absence. They do notice that Debbie hasn't once spoken out against this horrendous narco scene in Tenerife. She hasn't once spoken out about, the violence and the criminality in her neighborhood. And same with Sarah Smith. Of all the problems facing that constituency, I really don't think that people writing some hurty words or slamming the grieving mother is the number one thing that Sarah Smith should be looking at. And people know that. I think when they hear Sarah or Debbie talk about this, they think, well, what about these, violent attacks and the narco scene? What are your solutions for that? There are no solutions, and Debbie hasn't even mentioned it. You would have thought it's not even a problem. You would have thought it's not even in the background of this. And when people notice that absence, I think they switch off. And getting back to the demographics, I don't like to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think there's a very large, youngish male population that flat out have thought from day one, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Kind of like Jay deserved it. Now, I think you and I agree no one deserves an ending like that. I'm one of those that says, Jay probably did a lot of stuff that brought his own demise upon himself. But I think there's a harsh group of mostly men, youngish men, that from day one were like, "What do you expect? What do you expect?" That's where we are, I think.
I agree with you there, and that's what I've seen by looking at other channels that have spoken about the Jay Slater case, and just looking at the comments before the usual suspects appear. They don't always appear. They don't realise. But yeah, that's the feeling I get. The youngsters are like, well, what do you expect, But as we've said, and we've said it all along, yes, we are aware that Jay behaved very, very badly. And but he didn't deserve that. At the end of the day, he was 19. He'd probably only been shaving for a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was a young lad. I will always call him a young lad. I still call my kids, yeah. They're like, oh, mother, we're all grown up now. But anyway, yeah, he was a young lad and he didn't deserve that. So let me look at some of the questions or some of the comments here. So Master Brown has made a good point and said Sarah Smith has been active in government censorship within social media since 2024. Interesting. She has jumped on this case not knowing the background of the case, in my opinion. I think that you're absolutely right there. And but I think she probably knows a little bit more about the case now because, yay, I'm on Twitter. Hey Sarah, what about this? Anyway, I think she does know a little bit more about it. But I mean, what a stupid thing to do. I mean, if you look at it, okay, so she wants to get herself a bit of a name. Maybe try something else because this ain't going to work, Sarah. I mean, it's just a very foolish thing to do. Yeah, you're right there, Rosina. That's exactly what I think. He never got the chance to grow into an adult and learn better. Exactly. Listen, I don't care. It's like when the trolls are like, oh, Jan, you don't care what so-and-so did and you don't care what... No, I don't. Because people do change, but you have to see the change. It's no good saying, I'm going to change. It's about seeing how somebody has moved on, perhaps from a dodgy childhood. Yeah, maybe. Or dodgy, teenage years. Maybe. I mean, we will never know how Jay turned out. And that's very, very sad. Very, very sad. Okay. Oh, hang on a minute. So we've got Vid in the house. Hey, Vid. He stood by her side very early in Annette. I thought he was from her area at some point. Oh, okay. So we're talking about another content creator. Okay, so Pinky Pup, hey Pinky, how you doing? The focus to stop the public talking and not address the things that led to his death just doesn't sit well with many. Yeah, that's it. I mean, because social media, whether we like it or not, is absolutely huge. You know, you can't, it's just insane to think that, you know, this youngish member of parliament thought she was going to change the whole way things go in this day and age. It's like, no, love, it's not going to happen. Stop it. Pick another cause. Pick something else. It's not going to happen with this. It's like I went to a comedy show earlier on in the week, and it was brilliant. Loved it. One of my favourite comedians. She was brilliant, Judy Love. And at the end, I mean, before she went live, you're told no filming, no photographs, you know, and you just accept that. Yeah, that's the world in which we live. At the end, she's like, right, everyone get their camera out and put the torch on. Dunks, you'd be rubbish because you haven't got a proper phone. Anyway, so everyone got their phone out, and then she did like a... What's that? Is that like a wind-up phone, Dunks? Anyway, she then spoke. She did like an Instagram thing, and it was like, "Hey guys, we're having a fabulous time here tonight." And then she showed us all. That's what social media is about. That's what 2026 is about, whether we like it or not. And you can't stop people like us who like to look differently or deeply into cases. You can't stop people doing that. It's ridiculous. It's like, I'm going on. I'm on a rant. Sorry, Dunks. Go make yourself another cup of tea, love. All right. Anyway, it's like, I love aviation, right? I'm an av geek. Love it. Now, we've just had like the most awful incident happen in LaGuardia, where a plane lands, and at the same time, there's a fire engine going along, fire truck they call it, going along, trying to help this other plane, right? So anyway, this plane goes smack into that, right? Now, do you know how many people, how many YouTube people or content creators spoke up within an hour about that crash? None of them knew exactly what happened. So it was all speculation. It was all speculative at the time. So what was like Susan Smith planning to do? You know, it's like, yeah, Jay's Law, because they don't like people talking about what Jay's family maybe were like. They didn't like that. No, you can't stop social media from speculating, and that's what it is. And yeah, God, I've gone off on a real tangent there. Sorry, guys. So let's get back to the chat. Okay, so Hi Vid says, I think as the years passed, things that weren't acceptable became acceptable, and sadly this causes a chain reaction where the goalpost is always moved and entertainment habits get harder and harder. I agree with you. I agree. It's like, and we're always fed crap. We're always fed crap. I mean, I love to go, I don't know if you know, I love reggae, okay? Yeah, Jamaican, all right. I love to go to carnival, right? Now, when I go to carnival, I never have any trouble, okay? I never see any trouble. I see lots of policemen, which is rather nice if you like people in uniform. I dance with, well, back in the day, I used to dance with them. Now they're like, you all right, love? You all right? Anyway. The point I'm trying to make is, if you listen to what mainstream media say, carnival is like a den of inequity. It's like, it is debauchery. It is awful, right? I come away from there and I'm like, and I read what they've said, and I'm like, that didn't happen. Why are you saying this happened? Why are you saying that happened? Why are you saying it's not safe for people to go? It's all BS, and it's all organised misinformation. Dunks, do you want to jump in and add anything to that? Have you got anything to add to that? I understand if you haven't, but have a go, love.
You've gone off on a tangent there that has lost me totally. I quite like the idea of carnival, but getting back to the Jay Slater case, uh, I think what you're right here about is that the whole social media thing is a force way beyond Debbie Duncan or Sarah Smith, way beyond the British Parliament. It's like talking about, what you can do about the weather. What could we legislate about the weather? It is such a force of nature, even though it's social media. It involves everyone, and you just can't shape what they say and what they think. I know we're going through this period where, society is debating what we can do to shape thought and make sure hurty words aren't out there, but I don't think you can do much about it. So the incident I was going to raise was when Jay's Uncle Glenn, that's Debbie's brother, started to say in the documentary, almost with a surprised look on his face, and as if he were blaming people that use the internet, he was saying, well, then some people started Googling Jay's name, and then they found out that he'd got in trouble with as if, oh, is that our fault that we started looking into the case? Is that what you're saying? We should have just taken whatever you said as the word, and now, we're the bad guys because we found something we shouldn't have found out. At that moment, I thought, yeah, these people don't get it. They don't get it. They think that um, it's almost like they have a right to put their side of the story out, and no one really should be challenging it because they're the injured party. Debbie's grieving. She's wringing her hands. I'm sorry, but I think we agree on this, Jan. That doesn't work in the real world. I think that the difference between us and the accident group is we can understand that someone is grieving. We get that. But I keep saying this, it is possible to be a grieving mother and a mother that is trying to hide the facts, the truth of a case. Both of those are true. You can be obstructing justice and grieving at the same time. And the accident group have a problem with this because they are wedded to the notion that Debbie Duncan is a grieving mother and nothing else. And if you say that Debbie's a grieving mother, but something else bad is in her heart here, then you are that's why they get so angry with us. You can't say that. Well, we can. We'll keep saying it. And I think it is true that Debbie is both. She is a grieving mother, but she's also someone that knows a very uncomfortable truth, and she's hiding stuff that should have come out a long time ago. A real inquest would have gotten to it. Adderley made sure it didn't. And I think that's why we feel angry, isn't it, Jan? It's like we know a whole load of truth that could help save future lives from these, young people going to Tenerife. That could have been outed a long time ago. The accident group want to hide it. Debbie wants to hide it. Adley wants to hide it. We're very angry about that. So yeah, that's my rant over and done with. We're not stupid. We've known this from day one. There are certain facts out there that a small number know them. They're very disturbing, and they will not tell us what actually happened in this case. And it still makes me angry.
Yeah, indeed. It is. It's very frustrating. It's not as if we've just pulled these ideas out of, out of our backsides. That we have studied so much. I mean, God, it's nearly 2 years now, Dunks. And, it always sort of makes me smile when people say, well, what, you still talking about that? Well, yes, we'll be talking about it till the end of time because what we've been fed is wrong. What we've been fed is rubbish. So, yes, we will talk about it. Yeah, get over it. So, this one here is that Amanda. Hey, Amanda. We were shown a screenshot of a video for the blanket photo. We also got pool party footage and the clip of Debbie singing at the funeral. Who filmed them and why post these bits? I don't know. I mean, who would sing at their son's funeral? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be accused of battering Debbie again, dunks. Anyway, so let's just see what else other people have said. It doesn't sound okay. Nosy Lou, hey. If it doesn't sound so suspicious, we wouldn't have looked into Jay. Exactly. And I know also people are still looking on TikTok as well. We're not the only people. We may have the loudest voices, but we're not the only people. So yeah. Okay, so what else have we got on here? We've got Base Boss, hey girlie. Did everyone see Mark Williams Thomas on No Balls channel talking about Nicola Bulley? It was a great find. Oh, I need to look at that. I'm interested in that as well. I need to get my head into that. Haven't watched it yet. Who else have we got? Pinky says people will want to research what they are being asked to donate into. Exactly. You can't suddenly be like 75 quids richer, £75,000 richer, and start appearing, with your hair done, with your lippy on, and people not question that. It's like, yeah, we know people move on, and yeah, to a certain degree. The thing is, because it's her, it's like, no, you've not been honest. Be honest, and then people will leave you alone. It's as simple as that. So Rosina says, I think Debbie was exhausted at the wake, probably drunk by the end. Yeah, probably. Oh, sorry. I forget I'm doing a serious live stream. Sorry, dunks. Anyway, yeah, I know. Anyway, so, guys, we're done with the question. No, we've got one more question. Hang on. Okay. How would you comfort a friend in a TV interview? Now, me, I think I'd be just as upset as them. I'd be really upset. But I would understand that it's no good me sitting there ugly crying, so I've got to put on a bit of a face. But I would be there totally 100% to support my friend. And I think, as we've discussed before, Rachel doesn't look to be that friend. Okay, so I've given you, this is a multiple choice. Okay, guys, I'd like you to write down how you would comfort your friend. So would you not allow her to speak? Would you show no emotion? Okay. Would you put your slap on? Okay. Or none of the above? I would, none of the above. I would show, people would know that I was a genuine, caring friend to the person who had lost their child. Dunks, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Problem with this question is I think you would, or you could only comfort a friend in a TV interview if you felt 100% sure that that friend was looking for the truth. And if you felt in any way that that friend, and you can have a friend that is not totally honest, of course, but in a TV interview, if you felt that friend couldn't be totally honest in front of the cameras, I don't see how you can comfort that person. It's all then, play acting, and no one really wants to do that. And that's why it didn't work. Rach thought she could do it. She thought she could play act the comforting friend. All you do is to say some nice words, put your hand on someone's back, and it'll work. But you actually can't do it. So I'm going to rephrase the question. How would you comfort a friend you knew was telling the truth and wanted, a truthful and honest resolution to this? You would just give them your full support. Every word you said would be backing them up, and you would be doubling down and saying, we are determined. Even though Debbie's in a bad way, she has an army of support here. We are determined to get to the bottom of this and, be very thankful to those that are donating and saying every penny will go to finding out what went wrong here and why. And because we've not heard that, we've heard this, waffle and mishmash about, mystery men. Oh, but they did actually know them. It's because of that the comforting the friend bit, it doesn't work. It can't work. So I want to go over to you. I haven't read them through. I want to not allow her to speak. No, you can't do that. I mean, it's the. I would have thought that's not a good idea. You've got to allow the friend to speak. Maybe showing no emotion in that it's. This is a weird one, but it's Debbie who's in the very tormented position here. And if you're honest and you're not showing emotion, it's a way of saying, you know what, you're the one that's going through this. I can fully support you. But again, if you're trying to drum up your own tears and it doesn't come across well, it's like you said earlier, Jan, people are not stupid. They can tell when something just feels off. So it might have been for Rach, if she'd played her cards right here, she would just have answered honestly. You know, big demand on Rach there, but possibly showing no emotion was better than the fake emotion in retrospect. So yeah, I think a lot of people are going to go for none of the above, but I might. I'm not a very emotional person. I think I'm going to go with two, Jan. I would have just my words would have been kind and supportive, but I don't think I would have gone for anything emotional. Let Debbie express her emotion. Maybe that would have worked better.
Well, I know not who not to call on if I ever have to appear on TV. Dunks. Anyway, so we've reached the end of the questions. So we've reached that stage, guys. Troll of the week. Right, okay. But we're doing it differently this week. We're playing a game called Where's Janie? Where is Janie? Because supposedly Janie, who is one of the trolls of the week, right, apparently she was going to Morocco. Now, we've got no signs of her in Morocco. There's no pictures of her. Hey, here I am. I'm having a wonderful time. Look at me. I mean, what? Was she frightened to hand over the phone? Maybe she was frightened to get somebody else to take a picture of her. And because maybe, do you know what I mean? Yeah, all right. Can't be trusted. There's not many of us up there in Glasgow. Anyway, yeah, so maybe it was that. Maybe she didn't want to hand her phone over. But I thought, wouldn't it be great if we just had a look, see if we can find Janie in any of these pictures? Because I think it's a bit weird. So, here we go. So, can we see her in here? I don't know. Apparently, she went to a market. And there's a few strawberries. Nah, I can't see her there. Can you see her anywhere? Thanks. I can hear you. I can hear you laughing over there. Yeah, I don't know. Oh! Can we see her here? I don't know. Dunks, can you see her?
Yeah, she's in front of the cart, isn't she? Must be her.
Yeah, you know they do like the Where's Wally. So I thought, oh, instead of Troll of the Week, let's do this. So hang on, and there I don't know. I can't be convinced that she was actually in Morocco, and one of the other reasons I think she wasn't in Morocco is because supposedly she decided, oh, I'm going to take my son out for a Moroccan meal. Who goes to a place, right? Who goes to Morocco, right, Just eats all the British food over there. Reminds me of somebody. I went to Spain once with a work colleague, and when she was Scottish. Oh my God. Anyway, all she wanted to do was eat burgers. And I'd be like, no, we're in Spain. Why can't we eat Spanish food? I don't like it. I can't do Scottish. I don't like it. So I was like, you're having a laugh. What's the point? Anyway, I think this is another reason why I don't believe she was there. Because, lo and behold, all of a sudden, she's out in a Moroccan restaurant eating Moroccan food with her son. Yeah, do we believe it, guys? Nah, I don't believe it. So, we found her, and then she did like this Temu haul. Right. These are the things I bought when I was in Morocco. I'm telling you what, you can get these in Temu, Dunks. You probably don't know. See the Essex earrings? You know the Essex earrings? Yeah, them. I gave up wearing those a few years ago. Anyway, that tile, yeah, you can get that in Temu. Right. In fact, she probably got it from, because you can buy them in like vinyl things, so they're not really real tiles. Do you know what I mean? They do them in vinyl, and yeah, I don't know, and some black stuff there. I don't know. Yeah. So, where is she, guys? Did she go or did she not? But I just thought it would be quite good fun to play the game with you. I've completely perplexed our Dunks. So, I'm going to say, Dunks, do you want to say farewell? Are you all right for next Sunday, honey?
Yes, as far as I know. Hang on a second. Next Sunday might be Easter Sunday. Is it? I'm free anyway, but yeah, we'll think about that. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say actually, can I go back to the whole Morocco thing? What amused me about Janie's post, which I do read avidly, I must say, fascinated by what she has to say. Um, is her appreciation of the local food, you know. And I'm always bemused by that whole thing. Oh, love the local food. It's like, well, you're from Glasgow. How would you know whether it's local or not? That stuff might have been shipped in from Glasgow, for all you know. And the photo looks like yesterday's leftover slops. Now, it might be delicious. It might be the best meal that Morocco has to offer. But it's one of those situations where I swear, if that was the worst thing Janie had ever eaten in her life, she's still going to post, oh, delicious Moroccan food. She's just not the honest type would say, paid God knows what for this in a bloody touristy place, and it was the worst thing I've ever eaten. No, everything is fantastic. The local food is great. They probably, God knows what they did to the food before they served it to her. But, everything is just wonderful, 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 wonderful. I have a feeling that she might have actually been there because one of the menus that she showed did have the price in Moroccan dirhams. Now, anyone can fake that, I know, but I don't think Janie would have faked that. So I do have a feeling she might have been there, maybe for a few hours, maybe for one night. I don't know, but I've got a feeling she was there. But yeah, all of those photos, like everything's wonderful, wonderful food, wonderful people, nothing can possibly go wrong here. Just didn't sound genuine. I don't know about you, Jan, but when people go away and they come back and they say it's all wonderful, and then, yeah, like you said, that bizarre, oh, go back to Glasgow and have a Moroccan meal. That is weird. Go to England for a week, have fish and chips every night, and then you go back to Spain or somewhere and say, oh, I'll have fish and chips. You've just had that for a week. A bit strange. It was a bit strange.
I'm glad you understand. I just couldn't resist it. I mean, these tiles. Yeah, you get them. You can buy them as like sticky stickers. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what? So, if she did, and it's a very big if, guys, if she did go to Morocco, I mean, I gotta say, why would she buy stuff that you can buy from Timo? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Come on, girl. Sort yourself out. So anyway, Dunks, as Julie said, I have those tiles from Amazon. I know. It's like, yeah, all right, all right. Anyway, let's say, do you want to say goodbye, Dunks?
Yeah, I'll have a second attempt now at saying goodbye. But there's one more thing I want to say about the trip to Morocco. I do remember this line about how wonderful it was to hear the call to prayer, that was being trumpeted out there from the nearest mosque. And I thought, yeah, well, again, you could have gone down to Bradford if you really wanted to hear that. And having lived in a Muslim and Arab country when I worked in Oman, that gets pretty stale. If you happen to have accommodation right by a blaring mosque and the first call to prayer is 5 in the morning, believe me, Jamie, it ain't such a wonderful thing if you're not a morning person. So yeah, wonderful. When you come down, you fly down from Glasgow. Oh, the call to prayer! Doesn't that sound wonderful? Try it 5 times a day. The first one at 5 o'clock, and see how much you like it. Honey, yeah. Right, I will now say my goodbyes. Thank you, of course, to everyone for joining us again. Sorry, I will apologise on behalf of Jan for her very extended rant. I will apologise for my rant. We seem to get into our rants, but there we go. That's part of the entertainment for you. Jan, I want to thank you for setting up everything as always. And yeah, I'm up for next week. And if you are, let's go ahead because, if some people can't make it, they can't make it. But we skipped that Mother's Day weekend. So let's try for next week. Let's go for it.
Indeedy. I'm looking at people in the chat, and I went on a honeymoon to Morocco, and they were asking my husband if he would swap me for 2 orange trees and 3 camels.
Oh,
Oh
nice.
God! Yeah, my son's gone, and my son and his fiance, they always travelling, and they went to Morocco, and they always bring me back something lovely from the country that they've been to. And thankfully, it was nothing like the haul that our dear Janie bought over there. Some of her posts just make me raw. Dunks. I'm sorry they do. Anyway, let's go. Thank you so much, Dunks. You're an absolute star. Love having you on. And it's nice to have a bit of a giggle as well. I mean, that's what I'm all about, guys. I do like to laugh. So thank you, Duncan. I'll see you next, what day is it? Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you, Dunks. All right, and also I want to say thank you so much to all in the chat. You are fabulous again, and my moderators. What would I do without you guys? You are wonderful. I hope that you enjoy these little chats where, yeah, I can be very, very silly, but I can also be very passionate. So I'm just laughing at other people. Yeah, I can be very passionate, and I hope that you recognise that that is the reason why I am always going to seek justice for Jay. So I want you all to take care of yourselves out there. Have a fabulous week, whatever you've got planned, and I'll see you in the next one. Trust me, it's a rotten old world. So until next time, bye bye for now. Hear the